What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Summer Split. Now, before this year, only 5 organizations had ever held the LCS title. But following this spring split, we get to add a new name to that long line of champions. Everyone, please give it up for your spring split champions, Evil Geniuses!
Torch it.
I'm sorry, what?
You heard me. Torch it.
No, okay, hold on. Just wait 1 second. I'm sorry, what's going on?
There's been a change of direction in the LCS. It's time to live evil. Except for you, Dash. You're going another direction.
What? Serious? Oh, come on, I can be dark. You have a terrible fake laugh.
And you have a terrible sense of style.
You got a pancake ass.
Stop. That's not trash talk. This is trash talk.
You're doing great.
Nice.
I love the energy. Here's the thing. There's evil, and then there's just felonies.
Right.
Really? Really?
All right, let's get a look at you. All right, this can work. Let's start the show. Now.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to opening weekend of the LCS Summer Split and the LCS waiting room. We're back.
We made
What is that move?
I'm gonna break this kid. That's what I'm gonna do.
We got brand new chairs, brand new fits. Rams is out here.
Waiting for his shoe to just launch across the room like it did previously.
New plan.
Trying to figure out how quick into this show can we break something. What do you think?
Very
Over
quick.
under 3 games.
We'll break
Under.
at least one thing.
Under.
Yeah.
I think that's
Really
fair
under.
to say. That's totally fair to say. Well, we're back for the Summer Split of the LCS. It was almost under, just like that. We got a lot to get into because even though it's only been a couple weeks since international play and a month or 2 before that we were in the Spring Split, a lot has happened in the off season. We've got some table setting to do for the games that we have ahead of us in this Super Week. We're going to start, though, by talking about Champs Q, because Champs Q is back.
It has
And there was
MMR now.
a lot of hype around it coming back for its second split. given a little bit of revamping, a new MMR system, I know. So a quick look at the leaderboard will show you actually it's Court JJ there sneaking in 5th there.
And a welcome back to Ignar, who's already making the grind.
I like looking at this because, like, you'll see Corday, obviously he's still on Team Liquid, but, like, I do think Champ Q performance over the long term will translate to these guys finding more opportunities. So, you know, EG has a lot of talent within their organization, and you got Sohan up there. I think some LCS teams will be taking note.
Yeah, and just as a small point, like, this is every time, every split of Champions Q, you see Cowrie just sitting there in the top 5. So you're right about it. It feels like teams are going to recognize it. They're already making decisions because of Champions Q, and I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time.
Well, I know we're going to talk about this later on, but Mia, who ranked really, really highly on Champions Q, was picked up by TSM, and I think that is definitely a good indicator that teams are looking at how players are performing in Champ Q and seeing how it translates.
Yeah, you're mentioning Mia Dokla, who was a winner of the split of Champions Q, and it was also performing incredibly well in Academy, has also gotten the nod, and so on CLG. So yeah, it's great to be able to see that.
I just noticed someone streamed this expletive delete.
I
couldn't see the rest.
streaming.
That's not, we're still watching some highlights, so those at home haven't seen it just yet, but when we come back on camera, there is actually a very cool Twitter account that I encourage everyone who's interested in the happenings of Champions Q to follow. It's just at Champions Q on Twitter, but it's a Twitter account that tweets out the matchups of different games, but it'll also supply the information of who is streaming it, if anyone is. Raz expressing his frustration that this sick lineup of players, apparently nobody was streaming out of this bunch
Tactical
of
has
10.
a stream.
Yeah.
Arrow streams.
He's been streaming pretty regularly.
Were none of them on that day?
Stream.
For this stream, not particularly, but like I've been watching a lot of tactical streams because him. Also, Spica as well for the TSM squad have been streaming quite regularly. Maple
has been streaming,
so that's a good example of it. But a lot
we saw
of
Maple
people,
high up on that top 10 on that list.
There it is. A lot of people have been streaming Champions Q, which is a blessing. But when I saw this game particularly, and I was like, okay, Blaber, Tactical, Darshan, and Chime that I worked with in the past, I was like, where are you guys? And then Ole will at times, send himself in the top lane. So I wanted to see that one. Yeah, a little bit of a filler. But
who won?
No.
Because no one streamed it.
No one streamed
it, so the world will never know.
Someone had streamed it, we would
unless
know.
we saw their elo go up. Either way, Fudge as well. Pro's very happy to have Champions Q back to get in there and fiddle with it, the different changes that have been made, and of course it will continue to get improved as the pro players and amateurs alike put it to use. From there, we have to talk about what the landscape looks like when it comes to the game of League of Legends that all of our pros are stepping back onto stage with here. And so we're actually going to work through 2 patches here, both 12.1.0 and 12.1.1. And so let's start with the durability changes because that's
10 and 11.
Yeah.
I know it was weird.
Yeah.
It was.
So,
Thank you for calling that out. Could have just let it go. Durability changes, Chad. Help me out.
I've written back on the back of my bingo cards every patch note from the past 2 patches, so I believe this will actually give us enough time to get to the start of the game. So if you'll just bear with there's been so many changes, line by line, because every champion had their base stats adjusted to become more durable. Turrets actually got even stronger than normal. There's a lot of questions about what it will do to pro play because while solo queue, personally, and I've seen a lot of sentiment, seems more satisfying to play because the game's not as explosive. I think this will actually have the inverse effect on pro play where it will be slower at first, and as the season progresses, we'll get faster as players relearn what their limits are because their default limits aren't going to be that fatal while they adjust to these, what ends up being kind of field changes.
Exactly. The one that was clearest to me and the players at time is when they go through turret dives and they're like, oh, that hurt. Either the dive fails phenomenally or they recognize that those things are a lot more fatal. That being said, in 12.11, they rolled back a few of those changes. And so it's not as consequential as it was in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say, you saw just in that dive there with a 1-for-1 trade, like LPL teams have still tried diving those tier 1 turrets on 12.10. Didn't work out as well. So they don't necessarily have the timing down. We've also seen a lot of really unique picks. I mean, obviously this is highlighting the 12.11 changes to a bunch of different champions, and also like tank items, I think is another huge thing to call out. But yeah, the champion diversity, I think, is something that everyone's going to be looking at because that's a major metric, I know, for game devs.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that you pointed out the fact that those changes were 12-11 because they were a readjustment. I look at the nerfs immediately, and yes, some of the strongest champions at the time were for sure. I mean, for a while for Wukong, but Senna was a big problematic champion. Taliyah also got a change that we will probably be seeing a lot more of that champion because of how strong it is as a flex in jungle and mid. And I mean, Kog'Maw was a funny one because he was like S tier in 12-10 and then got a big change on that when I still think there are some players like Luger that will want to play the champion regardless, but definitely not going to be nearly as strong as it was in 12-10. But Lilia is still a beast right now in both top lane and jungle, and so there's so many changes that it's nice that some competitive games have already happened. LEC is already going through some games right now, but during the earlier on in this morning, and we saw a lot of LCK LPL, and so it's clear that a lot has changed in the meta. It's a little bit slower in the early game, and champions like Kayle and Veigar are seeing more play.
Are you ready for the blind pick Kayle, right?
I'm not.
We were just watching VOD, Nasus v Kayle. And I was like, what year is this? This is absolutely
Azeal was calling it out in the dive, and he finally got the blessings.
Finally. Match scaling was scaling. Okay, so we talked about, or you mentioned the key word, champion diversity, right?
Yes.
And given all of the changes to the meta, we thought it would be fun to play another edition of Bingo. So I believe each of the analysts have worked up their own champion bingo card. We're not only going to have here physical copies of them.
That was
I like this idea already. I like this.
We're just practicing our card throwing
this.
techniques now.
I'm a big fan of this.
That one was pretty clean.
There we go.
I got two.
All right, here, I can
Thank you very much
Dash, give me a toss.
for doing that. Oh, you need a marker?
Perfect.
I need.
I'm glad
Did I get a
You have
marker?
marks?
You
didn't
Yeah, I have marked
this.
cards. I didn't make
Here.
any.
I got 4
here.
unique ones now.
Pass
Need a
them,
marker.
take
All right,
them,
how do we
pass
get
them
this
down.
to the people at
Okay,
home?
so we're going to
Should be on
fly
Twitter.
them up all one by one here in the Telestrator. First taking a look at Emily's,
No.
but these will also
So-
be tweeted out, so you can find them on social.
I did not understand the assignment that we could have a free
I could clearly
space.
tell.
So Ezreal is my free space.
Wasn't Bingo your
Because,
idea in the
yes,
spring
yes,
split anyway?
apparently
You don't know how Bingo works?
I'm just terrible. But Ezreal, I think, is going to get picked, so
All right.
he's free, right?
No teams today
But
pick
yeah, this
pick
is,
Ezreal.
I know, right? I just get absolutely
Jat does not
boomed.
think Ezreal is going to get played, is what I'm noticing.
There are a lot of things
mean,
I left off of this. This is kind of a smattering of different things I've seen on 12-10 and 12-11,
Okay.
and LCK, LPL, and NA Academy
Do you
was
feel-
on 12-11 this week.
Here's my question. Do you feel like any of these are risky picks, or you feel like these are all like certainties? Like, how
I
confident
don't feel
are
like
you?
any of them are certainties outside of like, I do think teams will be highly contesting Kalista. Lucian Nami is still incredibly strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the other stuff is going to be like as things fall. Zeri is another one I wanted to point out because on 12-11, I know we already know that Jan is like an insane Zeri player, but just recently in Academy on 12-11, he was already popping off on that champion.
Yeah.
So I fully expect to see her back.
Okay.
So for me,
Raz? Yeah, let's take a look at
the
Raz's
ones I'm
card.
concerned about are the ones that are just straight up going to be banned.
Yeah.
Does that
Oh,
not
are we
count?
not? We're
Has
not
to be
counting
picked?
that. We're
Does
not
it-
counting presents.
Are we counting
I
banned?
kind of assumed you were
That's
counting.
picked.
Oh, it's only picked.
Only
That's
picked.
okay.
I don't know
Well, I
the
don't
rules.
know.
Yeah.
I didn't make
But
the
I think
rules.
that's better.
I
Yeah.
mean,
We're
Emily, our
obviously
resident bingo
we're
expert,
obviously
should know
so
how it
organized
works.
on this, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna go with
I think picked.
wow, picked. So
Picked.
it's got to get
Yeah.
let through.
Yeah, unless if a producer
All right,
comes
that's
in
up
our
in the
ears. but
difficulty. I
see-
like it. Let's
Yeah.
go. It
Yeah.
has to be picked.
It's gotta
Yes,
be
I like this a
difficult.
lot.
Don't pick the super OP stuff because that's okay. So then, what is your concern here? What do you think might be permaban? that you're
Yeah,
not gonna-
I put in Senna. I feel like Senna is in a high likelihood of a permaban. The other champion that I actually didn't think about at the time, but I'm pretty blessed not to think about it, is Lucian, because Lucian for sure should be picked more frequently.
Still a lot of Lucian Nami running around.
Exactly,
If
so.
it's led through.
I think it has like a 100% ban rate in
No
Korea at
Lulu
the time,
on your
so.
card?
Yeah, I don't
No
expect much of a
Lulu?
Lulu. So,
Really?
Like, yeah. So like, I do think Renata is really broken. I think I already put down Leona and Nautilus just because I think teams will recognize that they'll need some form of
They're
engage.
never going
Yes.
away.
Need
They'll go to
summer
spots.
Durability changes. Mages are
Yeah.
great. Leona and Nautilus are eternal.
The mage that I would expect is maybe a Karma, simply because Ezreal
Right.
Karma
Yeah, for
versus
sure.
Okay.
Tom Kench and Senna. That makes
Okay,
sense.
okay.
So like, and I have a free card, so just
And
in
you got a
case.
free space. So
Just in case, Emily.
that's one vote for Raz's card. Okay, chat. Let's take a look at your card here.
Yeah. Well, we used a bingo generator,
Yes, it's
Yeah,
true.
we did.
and the free space is there. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
why
So I don't know
you
what
wouldn't
happened.
use
Build
it.
it in.
Emily just likes
I
to
just
play
kind
hard
of picked
mode.
a
She
smattering
likes
of
to play hard
champions, to
mode.
be completely honest. I wanted my game to be entertaining.
I like entertaining games.
So like,
So Yumi's there.
Mark's card is just like Games of Legends' most presence because he wants to win.
Is it?
I like some fun stuff. So
Actually, legitimately, that's,
like in order.
That's how he filled his out, and then he randomized
So
it.
I have Gragas on there because, like, it would be cool to see Fudge play Gragas top lane.
That would be dope.
That would be nice.
I have Orianna on here because even though it's not meta,
Power of Evil's in the league.
Jensen and Power of Evil are playing today.
Exactly.
So that's it.
It's a wish list.
There it is.
I can appreciate that.
So you're looking at that middle column right there. That middle column for
That's
Jack.
like a fun column.
And anybody who wants to give
Corki is
them a
not on my
free
wish
object,
list.
you know. This is
I was gonna say this is definitely not a wish list. I hope it's not a wish list because there's some champions I would quickly remove and put some others on there. All right, do we have Mark's card to take a look at? I don't even know if we have it.
Let's see.
Let's rip it.
I have
to
it.
the
The
We
Games
don't
of
because
Legends
nobody cares
presence.
about Mark's
I have
card.
it.
If we're being honest,
I like what you. I like
it's
the
on
way
Twitter.
you think.
They gave it to me. They're going to be on Twitter, so go ahead
Yeah.
and find them. You
gonna
can play
find
along
Mark's
throughout the
card
day.
right
We'll see
here.
which of our
Yeah.
analysts has the
is
best
Mark's
read,
card.
blind read on the
there
meta.
we
Oh, there's
go.
Mark's card.
Okay, there it is.
Somebody in
Make a paper airplane
production
out of
cares
this.
about Mark's card. That's very kind of y'all.
He has the Lulu.
He's
Galio.
got the Lulu.
Interesting.
Actually, maybe I am a fan of Mark's card because he's got the Lulu on there that Raz wouldn't put on there.
I actually
about that?
haven't made a paper airplane.
Actually, Jat doesn't have it either. Emily, do you have Lulu on there? You do too.
I do.
All right,
I
I'm
do
a
have
fan of
Lulu
both of
on
your
there.
cards. I think that those.
We'll see by the end of the
pay
day.
off correctly. Yeah, we will. We will. All right, let's move on. To what teams, players that you guys are hot on, not on? General, perceptions coming into the summer split here. The community themselves rife with expectations, predictions alike.
I already like the fact that people are throwing. I already see Ken V from Mr. JP, the Asian Mamba. I see your at. So hey, you can't hide that. So I would say Jensen, easiest one, because going from spring to summer, there were a few players that we were like, where are they? I know Sven Skaren couldn't find a squad. Ignar, our best mid at the time actually, I'm starting to forget. My mind is already blanking, but I know that Jensen was one that was up there as well. Jizuke, there we go. That's the name that I was going for. And then Jizuke found a team on Giants. Jensen finally got one on Cloud9, and that's what I was looking for.
Jensen's back.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Jensen's level because I think if any player is going to be able to miss a split and then come back firing, Jensen would be way at the top because he's played for so long. He has so much innate League of Legends knowledge that when he's motivated and when you have a shorter sprint to Worlds, which is this is all he cares about. Jensen cares about winning the split and doing well at Worlds.
Yeah.
So even though Cloud9, we'll get into it in a bit, has some issues with getting their whole team here right away, but the fact that Jensen doesn't have to grind through the whole year, not necessarily by choice. I'm sure he would have actually liked to be playing in spring.
Yeah.
But he's going to be one of the best mids in the league. I have no doubt.
Yeah, very cool. I will move from the player-specific question. I'm going to push you in. Oh, do you want to go player-specific?
Well, I was going to highlight another C9 player, which is Sven, swapping to support.
Oh, there we go.
Because I still think he's incredibly talented player. And then additionally, I think one thing that's been consistent about anyone who's worked with him is that he has a very clear-cut understanding of how he wants to play the game, and he gives direction.
Yeah.
And those are really valuable things to have in a support. So I don't know how the swap is going to go for him, but I'm very curious to watch how it happens.
We're going to talk plenty about Cloud9 in just a moment, but I just wanted to now get a team-oriented hit from anybody.
Okay.
Outside of a player, what's a team that made moves or coming into summer split that you're like, this is the team I got my eye on?
Cloud9.
I hate you so much. All right, let's get ready for the first week of the summer split. Damn you, man.
What? It's the team that's in my head.
Wow. They have created magic here in North America. They have changed the narrative in so many ways.
He's gonna shoot! Centauran! Kill number one! Here comes kill number two! Danny's in for number three! For four! The king of Pentagon! Let's go! Evil Geniuses are your new LCS champion!
100 Thieves, trying to start a legacy of their own.
They find the dunk, double shockwave gonna land. It's gonna be the 2 kills picked up, no problem. Great dive, great setup.
And we got this guy back. Jensen on Cloud9.
Whoa, what a game! Dignitas, baby. I love it. Smites the minion, baby. Love it, contract. Oh, the crowd is fully in support of FlyQuest. We are going for it, and Pride Stalker's back, baby!
When hearing that Kenby is coming to the LCS, it feels like a very satisfying moment.
Kenby, the boy! And Tactical is going crazy into the back line. TSM. Quality of play from each of these guys individually is always such at a high level. Down goes 1, down goes 2, down goes 3, and 4, and 5. Team Liquid, an absolute slaughter.
We got to see so many things that brought me back to the old days. And I hope to see more in the future.
Welcome back to the LCS, where we're kicking off the 2022 Summer Split by taking a look at our standings. Who would have guessed it? Something important to note this year. Spring records do not carry over to summer.
Wow, look at those standings.
Everyone gets a gold star.
Exactly. So for those of you who maybe were first-time LCS viewers last year and saw that the spring split record did matter for summer standings, that's no longer the case. Everyone gets a fresh slate here in the LCS. That brings us to the schedule of the day. Guess who we're talking about first? Ladies and gents, it's Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses, the spring split champions.
So we made a rule that if I think of something funny, I should say it.
Okay.
When I see Team Liquid Honda, it makes me think how expensive that roster was.
Really?
They've added the new title sponsor.
True.
That they had to get the
I'm
naming
sorry, but
sponsorship.
it's just what jumped out to me.
I love this
retain
new
the name.
challenge. Everyone,
Retain the
please
roster.
keep him honest on it, because we need
Yeah,
more.
seriously.
Help.
Yeah, need more like.
I'm all about it.
For
Spontaneity.
Cloud9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, actually. Both splits, there's been this huge amount of variance with their team, because last split, when they had LS and all the craziness, like the variance I had on this team was like, oh, they could win the split or they could finish 9th if everything goes crazy. If, like, Berserker and Sven can get in the country,
Yeah.
Right. That's a
that's
key
going to
element.
be huge. But just Blaber and Jensen being reunited is what's actually really exciting to me, because when Blaber first came into the LCS, if you cast your mind back, they were running the 7-man roster where Golden Glue and Svenskeren were linked and Jensen and Blaber were linked. But they were so good together. That was the birth of the Kindred Zillion that was just so dominant and really unlocked Blaber to play at this extreme level. And I think ever since they've been separated, like, I think they've wanted to play together. They've remained close even when they're on different teams and have both been playing at a really high level. So getting back together and having this short run to try and make it to Worlds after finishing 4th, I think is going to be so motivating for them, and they're such good players. So the start of the split might be rough because they don't have their intended starting 5, but I'm really looking forward to seeing those two play together.
Yeah, even as a confirmation of that, like, Cloud9 released content that is very much like looking through the curtains more so than I have seen in other teams, where, you know, Blaber mentioned literally was that he was an advocate of Jensen being on the team. And that he wanted to work with Jensen again. And even when they were in Korea, of course, they were like duoing together. They were actually like back and forth. It seemed like they were really friendly. So like the fact that they're back together and already have that inbuilt relationship is going to work really well for them.
Well, we're already pretty deep into it, but before we get too deep, our very first game of the day, or of the split rather, sees a revamped Cloud9 taking back on the reigning champions of the LCS, hot off a stellar performance here at MSI. And we do have to talk about EG returning from MSI. Second best performance all time for North America in the group stage at that tournament. You'll see them there in the bottom rung, and in 2022, the only team to perform, or outperform them rather, is CLG in 2016.
And I think the thing that was really impressive to me about Evil Geniuses specifically is how consistent they were. Obviously, you can also say losing to G2 a total of 6 times. So it's like also incredibly consistent. We're going to see highlights from their team fighting at that tournament. I think the meta did take them by surprise initially, but they were able to adjust and adapt and find things that they were really comfortable with, especially around 5v5 fights like we're seeing here. And so that was the thing that really impressed me the most, is how stable they were able to be. There weren't, obviously they got wins against teams that you weren't expecting, like T1. But they also didn't have a lot of very embarrassing losses to teams that were from minor regions, like we've maybe seen North American teams have in group stages of past.
Yeah, they just didn't lose to them. And that was the biggest, clearest point to me. And the improvement that I saw was the fact that they did settle into how they saw the meta and, you know, really settled into the playstyle. In comparison to the regular season, they didn't have that, but they went to the international tournament when things changed, and initially they were faltering. They changed up really quickly, and so it's nice to be able to see that. For me, the kings of that tournament was for sure Inspired, Impact. I thought they performed incredibly well on the top side of the map, and we saw Vulcan and Danny evolving as the tournament progressed, but it was nice to be able to see that, yes, Inspired was consistent, and he was a strong point of that team, and I want to see them translate that into the Summer Split now.
One of the natural conversations that happens post MSI in particular is, of course, the burnout factor.
Absolutely.
Right? Your number one team not only played the longest possible spring split through to winning the finals, also has to go internationally, adjust to a new patch, new time zone, play over the course of multiple weeks, fly home, and get ready to catch up to patches to what the pro scene is at in their domestic region. Danny, a pretty vocal player when it came to what he was feeling near the end of that MSI run, Jad.
Yeah, I think this ended up being somewhat of a controversial tweet when you read the first one, and then he kind of clarified afterwards. But I think people don't necessarily realize the scope of what MSI is, because it's not just a 3-week tournament. It's practicing beforehand, decompressing after, and it's when everyone else can take their break and start scrimming a month. Most teams will start scrimming 3 weeks before the season starts, but we have a handful of teams that had the energy and time to do Korean boot camps where they can get really high up in solo queue and then come back for the start of the season. And I was just talking with some EG guys beforehand. They've maybe done like 3 days of scrims.
Yeah,
because they have the long view in mind, and I think this is actually smart.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to probably look bad in the first couple of weeks when your defending champions have a mediocre start, because they needed to take the break so that they can again peak come summer playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, just to validate your point, I was standing, filming that piece with Vulcan and the rest of them for the LCS Turning Evo, and he very much iterated that to me, like, we're starting scrims this week. That's the timeline that we're on.
Well, and this isn't EG, isn't just EG, right? Because we've heard this from multiple teams that have gone to MSI specifically, because it is in the middle of the year, because the turnaround time is comparatively fast. You don't have a lot of time to prepare going into summer, and this is stuff we've seen from all teams. Of course, JoJo never gonna let up on the trash talk game.
To me, I'm like, I love it. Again, never lose that energy. To me, though, that's the young energy of I'm just in the early parts of my career where I don't need that break between MSI and LCS. JoJo's like, get me back out on that stage. Let me take on Jensen as well. Let me show everyone who's boss. I absolutely love it.
It's great. We'll see what this MSI, like the damage it could do. Last year, like every team that was at it felt like it was a hit. I think T1, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember the names, but I know for sure RNG got hit pretty hard on that event, because after the fact, they were like, oh, we're 1 in 5 at the beginning of the split, and we're struggling just to get into the playoffs with how competitive it was.
Yeah.
And so that's always going to be a factor, and I want to see what it will end up looking like going into the split.
All right, there you have it. Now, JoJo, one of the people that we've talked about all throughout EG's success this year, he faces tough competition in Jensen. So bringing it back to that earlier conversation as Jensen rejoins Cloud9's Fudge and the rest of the squad. But Fudge and Max Walda gave insight on the impact of what that returning vet has already had on the team. Take a look.
Playing with Jensen has actually been really, really nice. Also, as a teammate, I would say he's actually been really, really good, and he's been helping other players.
Every time I've talked to him, he's been super reflective, he's been introspective, thoughtful. The way that he approaches problems is very, very calm and considerate of others.
Which is surprisingly a hard thing to do, is to not have any negative impact on your teammates, because we've been like losing some scrims. And whenever you lose scrims, it's really hard to not have any like negative energy towards your teammates that will make them feel defensive or worried about what you might be thinking. And I think he's very good at being clear in his criticism, not passive aggressive at all. It's very nice to have as a teammate.
It's cool to hear Fudge talk about that specifically, because I know he was also talking about how it was Blaber, to the point that Jet was making, that kind of vouched for Jensen coming back onto the team. And the way that they previously played around Fudge in top lane does involve a lot of like mid-jungle communication, diving on really specific waves. So it's nice to hear Fudge kind of coming around to him in real time. That's very cool.
Especially since in that content piece that I was talking about a little earlier on, like he was the one that was most like uncertain.
Yep.
So the fact that he now has had that initial experience and he's very positive on him, I think this is going to be a great look for this team. That being said, a little bit delayed because while the top side of the map, it's nice to be able to see that, the bot lane's going to have to come in a little later on.
True, exactly. We don't have the full intended starting roster of Cloud9 taking to the stage today just yet with King and Destiny slotting in. I do want to talk, though, about that initial point that you made around Jensen, Jap, which is you feel like of, maybe all of the players, he'll be the most capable of having taken a split off from pro play, come in and still operate at that high level. And I don't want to draw a direct one-to-one to a player like Bjergsen because different situations, different amounts of time. But in some senses, you're going to take a look at the spring split that Bjergsen put up and said, okay, now hold on. You can be the GOAT of a region, take a step back for a bit, and you're not, or rather shouldn't be assumed that you're going to retake that throne immediately.
Yeah, Jensen loves comparisons with Bjergsen as well.
I know he does. So that's why I wanted to bring this in on day one.
Every time.
Day one.
He's just cursing you backstage.
I think he's just going to be highly motivated. He did end up playing a decent amount of Champions Queue, even last split before he was playing again. And Jensen is a player who has burned himself out because he plays too much. Those have been his times of actually not playing that much. Last year in 2021, he had more solo queue than any other LCS player. Just because he's been in the LCS since 2014 doesn't mean he's lost his passion for the game. So again, it's day one and they don't have their bottom lane, but I think Jensen might come in firing.
I hope he does, man. I want to see that kind of stuff come out here on day one, especially against, the young gun in jojopyun. Berserker, Sven, we've talked about it already, but just to put a more official stamp on it, unfortunately, won't be here today. They are the intended bot laner and support, though.
That's what I'm looking forward to. That was the biggest question mark for me and a lot of people was just that not only is Sven coming back in, or at least he's coming back onto the team, he's coming in a different role entirely. So how long of a time is that going to take for him to acclimate to the role? At the same time as working with Berserker, who's obviously just learning the language as well. So there are so many layers to that's just going to take time. And they have not played together
We've had
yet.
a few successful swaps to support here in the LCS, which makes me very excited for a player like Sven.
The nice thing for EG with the MSI hangover is C9 has the boot camp and we lost our passport hangover. So Fudge is playing
hangover
remote.
is stronger?
Berserker lost his passport. Sven's not here.
Also,
so
what are the cures to those
as if they have also got MSI.
My goodness, what do I eat or drink in the
Losing
morning
my
to get over that
passport
one?
hangover would kill me. I would just feel like the entire day is I did this to myself.
Wouldn't surprise me if that's the one that got you, if I'm being honest. All right, predictions. No. I think it's just for the first game of the day. We're going down the line. Emily, you're next to me, so you go first.
Oh, I said EG.
You said EG, or you're saying EG?
No, I am saying also EG.
I thought you were good. I thought you were giving me a classic Jat bait.
I said, I'm saying, and will continue to say EG.
I'm pretty consistent. Even
I know.
I myself in predictions. I don't flip-flop.
That's what I thought. That's why I got a little confused. All right, EG for Emily. Raz, where are you going?
And I said, no, I didn't. Cloud9. I actually think Cloud9. The fact that they were able to have Fudge actually play, I was wondering if he was playing or if it was going to be Darshan.
Things are starting off
looking good.
Spicy in the prediction game. The Summer Split. All right, Jat.
I'm going to
go
do
something stupid. Watch.
I'm going to go with the defending champions of the LCS.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
They did beat everybody else.
Okay.
Eventually.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
won that
I'll give him
once.
this one.
I thought that's what he meant. I thought he was
I thought he was gonna do some dumb Cloud9 one more.
I can't fuck this man no more.
Oh my goodness. So that's it. We got a couple votes for EG. We got a vote for Cloud9. Let's see who takes it. Game one of the Summer Split. Let's kick things off here. 2022 LCS Summer Split. Let's go.
Deep in the forest, under the fog, I know they're coming, I know they're here. Oh, their light, is bright. Sleep for today, but tomorrow we fight.
The official start of the League of Legends Championship Series. This is a groundbreaking moment in league history.
Revolution aren't built in a day.
They come up from the dirt. They bloom from the depths of defeat.
Oh,
new era has been summoned.
And this time, we won't hold back.
They are the ones who will ignite our spark.
Oh my God! The Elder Dragon!
Who will bring the uprising of our fame. Who will unleash hell to take what is not given.
Hello, LCS fans! Today, the next generation leave their mark on the LCS arena and remind everyone here who runs this region. Welcome home, Impact-inspired jojopyun, Danny, and Vulcan. Please give it up for your 2022 LCS Spring Champions, Evil Geniuses!
We heard the roar of Evil Genius fans in Houston when the Kings were crowned, and now all the fans in Los Angeles get to celebrate their victory. What a time it has been to represent Evil Geniuses here in the banner ceremony. I have the Director of Performance, Lindsay, AKA the Doc. Dot works too. What was it like for you and the squad to earn the first victory for the team of championship caliber, thus adding a new name up above us?
I haven't seen it yet. Hold on.
Yeah, take it in.
I mean, honestly, it's huge. I can give you like the ego corporal response and be like, yeah, this is just the product of what we were working for, but like these guys deserve it. These players deserve it. These coaches deserve it. I was there since Spring Split started and like watching the struggle, right? Watching the blood, the sweat, the tears that went in. I would be lying if I said it was easy, but them getting here, it just feels so good because these guys deserve this.
Speaking of that work, that blood, that sweat, those tears, can you tell everyone a bit what your role entails and the plan that you laid out for this squad to be able to achieve such results?
Yeah, so I feel like director of performance, like performance in esports, it means something different than like the rest of the world, right? I kind of think performance is kind of like a meme right now because everyone has had someone around since the beginning who's like, we're gonna work on mental skills or we're gonna work on exercise, but like, don't get me wrong, those things are important, but we just are doing it differently at EG. So I'm a medical doctor and I worked in nutritional practice before this, and you like come into the doctor with knee pain, right? That's a symptom of an underlying problem, right? So you take a painkiller, the knee goes away, and then the next day your knee pain comes back. Right now, I feel like esports orgs are treating symptoms of underlying problems, but at EG, it's different. We're dealing with things different. So performance to us is really everything in a player and in a coach's life that impacts their ability to hoist that trophy. So, I mean, that's kind of just everything. I am performance.
Everything and all, performance and beyond. Yeah, I'm sure you had to make some adjustments coming into summer. Generally speaking though, what are your expectations, speaking on behalf of EG, with the rest of the season to come?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this start's gonna be rough. We had one day to get from Houston to Korea, and then we had about a week off after Korea. And we've had 3 days of scrims on this patch, which is arguably like one of the biggest patches in league recent history. So it's gonna be about controlling our tempo, right? Making sure we're not ramping up too early, making sure that when we do ramp up, it's when it matters. So, and making sure we're not burnt out when we get there.
I'm sure there are a lot of Evil Geniuses fans that are willing to give that energy to try and prevent that burnout. Any words for them and their support, or any other members of your organization?
I mean, it's weird that I'm holding the mic and Nicole isn't, because she's like our evil mastermind. And then it's hard to talk about EG League of Legends without talking about Andrew Barton. And then, I mean, everyone in the staff put their best foot forward to get us here. Fans, I mean, I don't know if you're like a day oneer and you still like StarCraft, or you're just here to see a pentakill, or you like us because for the first time you might be able to see yourself and someone on the stage and someone in an org. But I don't know, man. Happy Pride, live evil.
Let's go. Thank you, Lindsay, for joining us. It's time for us to get into the action. Let's head on back over to the casters.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Welcome, everybody. I'm Captain Flowers, and this, you want to talk about one of the OG of EG. May I introduce you to a literal world champion, Mr. Isaac Azeal Cummings-Bentley, and we're going to be bringing you all the first 3 games of the day. C9 versus EG. Let's kick it off with a bang.
Man, it's going to be really fun. It's so much fun to be back. And now we're comfy. We got some new threads for summer.
This is very comfortable.
I'm liking it. It's going to be really interesting to see, how EG is able to actually kick it off. Obviously, a lot of high expectations, coming off of them, learning a lot from MSI, winning spring.
Yeah.
The question on everyone's mind, I think, is are they going to be able to come out of the gates hot, or are they going to have a little bit of that MSI hangover? Cloud9, obviously, does not have their entire intended starting roster, but we are getting to see Jensen back on Cloud9, which is also really, really exciting. So a lot of questions about both of these two teams, and we're going to find out, who has the better read on the meta, who is performing better here on day one.
And you're talking about the meta. We cannot just let it slip through the cracks that there is a big shift in the way League of Legends looks now compared to how it did in spring. Spring felt like it stayed the course for a long time. There were not any huge changes shaking things up, but now we've been hit with what is pretty much the biggest non-preseason patch ever in the durability patch, and it has made things vastly different.
Absolutely. I mean, the game has been slowed down. Scaling, I think, is a lot better. It's harder to punish champions in lane, so people are more comfortable going with a lot more of these late game style champions. We're seeing enchanters really rise in prevalence because it's much more difficult to play and engage support and actually just all in and kill off these enchanter supports. And when you have enchanters in bot lane, you need to bring engage elsewhere, which is bringing a lot more tanks back into top lane as well.
Sir.
So it does feel like the game is going to be slowing down, but we'll see if either of these teams do want to try to buck that trend. There has been a lot of different takes on what the meta is, and EG especially only been scrimming for a couple days here. We're at MSI, had a little bit of time off after, so I'm really curious to see what is their read. Are they going to try to play, much more for that Danny style that we saw them be so successful with in playoffs, where it's all eggs in the Danny basket, hyper-scaling champion for him, look for team fights, or are they going to be going a bit more aggressive here?
Well, let's go ahead and see how the bans have shaken out. Wukong and Talia, a couple powerful junglers taken off the table here. Gragas removed, and then 3 marksman bans. Kalista, Lucian, Zeri, all off the table. C9 hovering for a little while, but the Senna is locked in. If you have read anything from the solo queue community in the past month, you have probably seen some complaints about this champ.
Yeah, Senna is really, really strong. I am expecting it to be fasting Senna, so I am expecting it to be paired alongside, one of these kind of beefy champions down the bot lane. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. We've even been seeing things like Senna Swain. Senna TK is an obvious one, but you can go Cho'Gath, you can go Zac, you can go all kinds of different stuff. People really have been experimenting, kind of branching out. With Ezreal coming through, you're kind of expecting it to be paired with Karma. That's pretty much the go-to pairing for Ezreal. A lot of poke, a lot of power. Again, I said enchanters really very popular on 12.10, and we are on 12.11 actually with the micro patch. Bel'Veth is not enabled, but it is some of those updated picks here. Well, I think this is some Jensen trash talk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is just saying like,
Jensen.
hey man, you remember what ability you didn't use? Like, it's one of those. It's a little bit of a psychological experiment.
Yeah.
Jensen is just now coming back to the LCS stage. They're making sure they roll out the evil welcome wagon for him.
Absolutely, and it's going to be the big matchup here between Jensen and jojopyun.
Jojo was talking his trash on Twitter before this too.
Jojo is always talking his trash on Twitter, man. He's saying he's going to smack down budget Bjergsen today, throwing some shade Jensen's way. But I'm sure Jensen would love to come back in here and really take dominance in this league, because there have been a lot of talk about how the mid lane players were not as strong as they had been in the past. When we're looking at spring, mid laners were not as dominant as we have seen sometimes. Jizuke had left, Jensen has left, Jensen is now back, and he is going to be looking to rise to the top of the table to be crowned again, one of those best mid laners in the league. Sejuani coming out, this could actually be Sejuani top. that was even played earlier today in the LEC. Alfari did play it. Can be pretty powerful, especially if you're going to pair it with a melee jungler, so you can kind of do the inverse. In the past, it was always in jungle, and people would pair it with like your Aurelia or whatever. You know, melee champions.
Somebody that
stack
works
up the
with
passive.
stacking the proc.
Exactly.
We didn't even plan on that. That was just
synergy.
That was a day one
That's
synergy.
how you know we've been spending some time together.
There. That's how you get it done. And now we're getting done the second part of the bans. Let's jump in and see what they got going on. The Gwen banned away, to me, also leads towards thinking about that Sejuani top. Sejuani doesn't want to be dealing with these types of things. Where's the passports, man?
Yeah, didn't he lose his passport or Berserker?
Yeah,
Someone lost
it was
their
something
passport.
like that. Passports have not been placed where they were supposed to be placed, my friend, and that is indeed a problem that Cloud9 is
esports classic.
Now dealing with. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Showing
We got
up for the flight of
Yone
the wrong day.
banned away now as well. Yone, one of those champions that scales into an absolute 1v9 anime hero monster as well. Like, you don't want to be dealing with this guy if he's allowed to scale up. I respect the ban there.
And it pairs really well with Sejuani, right? So I do think it's a really smart ban. Yone has been much more popular on 12-10 and later. Again, their ability patch helping him to get through those earlier stages and get to that point in the game where he really can take over. Gwen has remained incredibly popular as a scaling pick. We saw that all throughout MSI. We're going to be seeing it a lot on this patch here too. So really, really interested to see, where they're going to take us for the solo lanes, because both teams, have presumably the junglers and the bot lane. Of course, Sejuani could be a flex. If GP comes through, then it's going to be Sejuani jungle almost guaranteed, unless they're getting really wacky and moving things around. But of course, we do know it is Senna TK, the kind of most common pairing with the Senna for Destiny and King, who are going to be the Academy bot lane, moved up here into LCS for today.
Well, Trundle locked in there leads me to believe it is that Sejuani top with Trundle in the jungle.
This could actually be both, theoretically.
Yeah,
there has been a little bit of Trundle top as well.
If the matchup looks really bad for Sejuani or so, you just swap Trundle in there. He's a much better duelist in general than Sejuani is.
Absolutely, and it's kind of that you're expecting Fudge to play a tank, right? You're dissuading that a little bit. If you're saying, all right, you guys have no engage. You don't want to draft something, for that top lane along the lines of an Ornn. We'll see if that does in fact get brought out. Instead, Fiora.
No!
Okay.
They draft a tank top. The other side picks a tank buster.
Yeah, Fudge picking up where he left off. He was all about the carries. Last time we saw him in top lane, he again is making a role swap here. 2 splits in a row, swaps to mid. Now he's swapping back towards top. And he was all about, it was kind of like the Lee Sin meta that he was really making a name for himself in top lane when he was in MSI, last year. So this is going to be really interesting. Fiora also super, super popular. I think Fiora is just crazy, actually, on this patch. That is my pretty much perm ban when I'm playing top lane, because it's very hard to punish her early. She scales incredibly well, and she's one of the hyper-scaling top laners that actually has a strong early laning phase as well, especially if you want to go in towards Grasp. It can be very difficult, just proccing the vitals, proccing Grasp on you over and over. It is very likely to be Sejuani top, but that seems like such a tough matchup, for Impact.
Oh, Corki Viktor, we had to do this all in spring. Man, okay, well, we got Corki Viktor
here.
Okay, yeah, all right, fine. You got
plus.
that. There's no chicken in the mid lane, but we do have Corki. We do have Viktor there in mid. That is exactly what you were talking about, though, in terms of scaling. You want to get to 5 items. These are great champions to have at 5 items.
Absolutely. And Viktor, having a wave clear mid laner really makes sense if you want to play through sides, right? If you want to split push heavily on the Fiora, you need your 4-man squad to be able to hold it down, to be able to clear waves, to be able to stop any sort of assault on those towers. There's a tremendous amount of poke on the side of EG. They have pretty good engage here with the Sejuani. You can set up for the poke with the Trundle pillars. I think that's really, really strong with Karma, Ezreal, and Corki to follow that up. And on the other side for C9, it's going to be all about enabling the side lane. Senna ult to be able to help out on that side lane with Fiora is going to be big for the one-on-ones.
Yeah, Fiora being able to dominate in the side lane looks like it's going to be a massive factor for this team, especially when we consider this is not the starting bot lane. Jensen is just now coming back to the LCS. Fudge has a big role to play here for C9, and putting him on the Fiora, putting him on this champion that can be the hyper carry, putting him on something that can make those 1v9s and those fancy outplays and have the perfect timing, that could be exactly what they need.
Count that big bang.
Alrighty, welcome everybody 52, Cloud9 up against EG, and as we see EG just posturing pretty aggressively here at level 1, the one thing that I do want to bring up here that I'm a bit concerned for Cloud9, especially considering this is not the intended full roster, the engage options here are so incredibly limited for this squad, especially compared to what you were talking about with Sejuani engages, with having the Trundle pillar to block people off. The response from C9 isn't really there. You got Tahm, Kench, you can go underground and try to yeet somebody into the air, man. There's not a whole lot else.
No, there's not. And I mean, I think that's why they're going to have to play heavily through side lanes. But they do have good disengage, and they do have good, re-engage and kind of counter-engage. If we see, Impact flying in, you Sejuani ult someone, that gets actually, ulted up and saved by Tahm, Kench, then all of a sudden maybe you're getting rooted up there, by King on the Senna, can really start to turn around some of that damage. But their job is going to be to get things done through side, right? They have this ward here on Inspired, starting on that red buff. Fudge is going to be going Conqueror, so much more the scaling option. You do have to pay some respect to the Sejuani, even in those earlier stages, because he is playing Ignite. It can be a surprising amount of burst, especially if Inspired can get up there.
And we know Trundle can do plenty of damage helping out in that. Like you're talking about Inspired making his way up here. Sejuani, right, she's not going to have an incredible damage profile throughout the game, but early on in the lane, the CC she's able to bring gives you more exposure time against those Trundle auto attacks. The Ignite's going to hurt, make it so you can't heal even if it's before the point where he has the Bramble Vest to shut down some of the healing. It could be tough up there, but it will be up to Fudge to navigate that situation. Inspired starting off in his bottom side jungle. Blaber's going to be doing the same here on this Viego, also running Conqueror there. Viego's another one of those champions that I see people still having a lot of conversations about. I still see different builds on this champion played in solo queue, so curious what we're going to get out of Blaber this time. Usually in pro play, a lot of times you will get the Bruiser Viego as opposed to some of the more... they don't often go for the more risky but more high reward crit builds that sometimes you'll get in those solo queue environments.
Yeah, and a lot of the, I've talked to some really high elo Viego one tricks and stuff like that. A lot of those guys do tend to think that Kraken Slayer is the way to go, but of course solo queue can be different than pro.
Of course.
If you're not going to be power farming as much, those kind of builds really do need to be able to play aggressive and snowball. You can go like hyper aggressive where you're going like Kraken Slayer Bork. You can go very kind of middle of the road like Kraken Slayer in a tank. You can go much more bruisery like what you're talking about with Divine Thunderer into tank. So it will be interesting to see where he decides to take this game and exactly how this top lane is going to go, because I think so much of it is going to be about Impact just trying to survive. You can see Impact backing off. He was actually resetting the Vital there. So when the Vital spawns in between you and Fiora, you can... nicely timed.
That's what we're talking about with outplays on Fiora. The champion gives you the opportunity to read your opponent and make the move. Fudge does it well there. Impact now stuck at half HP as the wave is crashing into the turret.
Blaber's coming up.
Yeah, Blaber's coming up here, but remember, it's not just going to be Impact alone. Inspired was also clearing Krugs. He'll be able to make his way up here now, try to protect his top laner. However, it doesn't look like C9 is going to get too hard punished until Fudge has to flash away, but down here in bottom, it's King, who ends up staying safe thanks to a body block coming out there from Destiny, but Evil Geniuses controls things here on the other side of the map.
Yeah, they do send the Ignite, so they used one summoner, no summoners spent on the other side, but EG really want the push here. They're going to try to play with tempo through bot lane, really punish Destiny every time he's trying to grab a little bit of CS. It is TP on the Ezreal, which is kind of a bit of a throwback, but when you're playing this more scaling style, it's more about having those really good resets, being able to get back right into lane, and really try to kind of lock this Tahm Kench under the tower, punish his bases. Of course, Destiny also going to be responding with a TP of his own to try to help deal with that. You can see up on the top side, both top laners have TP'd back, so we're not going to be able to look for any sort of a cross-map play. Fudge already out to a nice little lead here early on, but he will have to try to continue to push that.
Right, and he does not have that flash now because of the way things got a little dicey up there during that dive. Fortunately for C9, they didn't take turret aggro, so Inspired shows up. It's not like anybody was immediately under threat of death there, just wanted to flash away so they didn't risk anything. Inspired now cleaning up this bottom side Scuttle Crab, so he'll be able to take that one. Junglers just getting back into their second clears here after the first purchases. You can see it is 2 Ruby Crystals there for the Trundle. However, we got the recurve bow for Blaber, so a bit more of an effective buy for him.
Yeah, probably going to be going towards Blade of Rune King. I'm assuming then, with the early attack speed buy.
Roleplay item.
We'll have to see. There you go. You get a bonus. You get a bonus
exactly.
For that. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to, really kind of continue to keep that pace up in the jungle, try to find some early duels, especially if he wants to play towards side. If you're thinking, hey, we're going to be playing out towards side lane, going to be matching and running into people like the Sejuani and the Trundle, Blade the Rune King would be really effective for the Viego against those type of champions.
Well, we're 5.5 minutes in. We have no first blood yet, but I don't think there's any reason to be concerned quite at this point. Hopefully we don't hit any of those LCK moments where we're waiting 34, 54, or whatever that horrible number was. But right now, we can see the Dragon being started up by Blaber. Viego can take care of these objectives very easily by himself, especially when your bot lane's pushing up. You know you've got the security there. Destiny takes a little bit of damage as he and King are able to walk over, make sure nobody's collapsing, and there it is. Easy pickup on the Drake for C9 and Blaber. Just 6 minutes into the game, they've got that Ocean Drake, and that feels really nice to have during this laning phase too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a nice little boon for them there. I have to say, King and Destiny doing a good job in the 2v2 thus far. It is, of course, a range support they're going up against. It is Comet, it is Ignite, so Karma going very much his lane-focused style. Yeah. And they're not really down that much farm. They are down about 10 now, and there are a couple more minions. So EG did hold that freeze and are kind of expanding that advantage a little bit, but not doing too bad by any means. And Danny already got that kind of ideal buy of Tier Sheen. That's like always what you're going to try to be going for Ezreal.
That's the dream.
If you get that 1,100 gold, get back to base, look to set that up. Blaber, again, back up here towards top side. Remember, it's no flash Sejuani.
No mana to work with either. This is bad news for the evil geniuses. The grand challenge finds the mark, and Blaber finds the first blood of Summer Split.
Well played by Blaber. Back up towards top lane again. They're a little bit surprised he didn't actually give it to Fudge, though. I do think it's more important to have that gold on the Fiora. Probably could have given that away, given that there is no flash on Impact. No way for him to actually get out once he's locked into that situation, but still nicely done for them there. And it looked like Fudge was even able to kind of freeze the wave. So the wave's going to slow push towards him, I do believe, based off the minimap. So it's going to be even more farm denied from Impact. And Impact's going to come back to a lane that is in an awkward spot for him, that is going to be pushing away for him. And you can see there's a couple extra minions there. So it will push very likely slightly towards him. But no, it's looking pretty even, to be honest.
And honestly, at least when you're playing a champion like Sejuani, you know that, hey, if something goes bad in the lane, you're still going to have the utility and just the power of your team fighting to fall back on. The unfortunate counterpoint to that is, well, now you're up against a champion that you absolutely do not want to be ahead of the curve of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Fiora is also one of the best champions actually punishing roams and punishing, moves towards team fights. So if Impact actually moves towards 5v5, which is going to be what he has to do, you can't just play side lane against Fiora the whole game.
As Sejuani? No.
Yeah. But part of the problem is, I mean, Q works on turret for Fiora. Yep. The E works on turret for Fiora. You also get that little attack speed steroid, on the E. Plus, it's an auto attack reset. So, like, you crush towers. If you are ever left alone, you will get multiple plates very quickly here.
Speaking of getting crushed, we might have ourselves a bit of violence here on the bottom side of the jungle. Danny and jojopyun both getting themselves away. Cloud9 giving chase. Blaber just turning right back around there with that Spectral Maw, turns his attention back over to the blue buff.
Smite, though.
C9. Oh, Danny! Nicely timed there to make sure C9 can't steal away the buff.
He still has no smite, so he can also lose this one.
All right, Danny, let's see it.
Come on, Danny.
8-ball, corner pocket. Okay, all right. Blaber blocked it that time. But he knew it was coming. He knew that Danny's not just going to let that go away. Nicely done there. I like the attempt from Danny, but he got the one that's more valuable anyway. The blue buff on Ezreal feels great, so he'll be able to find some use out of that one. Meanwhile, Inspired invading the enemy jungle, looking to steal away some camps there. Destiny eats a true shot barrage, but Thick Skin's going to immune most of that. As Danny and Vulcan both move forward yet again, but some fire back from King leaves Danny hurting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tahm is just so tanky. Like, they're constantly poking him, and they're going to farm Spell Thief stacks off him and some of that, but with Tahm Kench's base stats plus the durability buff, he starts D-Shield. You're getting the healing from the Q pass-through from King. Senna will try to, exactly. He'll try to poke through that. Jensen getting JoJo low, but Inspired will cover.
Oh, and Inspired, he drops the pillar, he drops the subjugate, and now he's just dropping clubs on his head. But Jensen gets away. Now Inspired's got to be careful. Blaber's ready to go. Slows him down with a Heartbreaker. Inspired wants out, and he'll get there. Lots of low health bars here in mid lane, but no dead bodies.
Yeah, Inspired is feeling himself there, but he's a very tanky build. I mean, if this was like a Sheen and some longswords, if he was going Divine Thunder, I think he kills him. But didn't quite have the exact read on how much damage he was going to do there. Flashing over the stun from Blaber to try to actually finish off Jensen. But he is the tank build here. Just sitting on that Balmy, Health Crystal, no real damage built up here. So not quite enough to finish off Jensen and is able to escape. So not too much gained by either side in the mid lane there and up towards top side. Impact has been doing a pretty good job just kind of holding on here. Of course, you're going to be finding the early stages in this type of matchup. It's really just more of a concern about the later stages when we get to 2-3 items. Your tank stats don't really mean much because Fiora just does so much true damage.
Oh, right. Yeah, like when you look at the death recap and over half of the circle is just that white bar, it's just like, come on, dude, get this out of my game. Leave me alone.
So what am I supposed to do here? It's not health.
Yeah,
and it's not armor.
Couple thinking emojis for that one, but looking at the scoreboard overall, just kind of taking inventory of where we're at 11 minutes into the game as the second Drake just now spawns, farm is so close in every single role between these two squads. Like, nobody's pulling out these huge lane advantages thus far. You can see it's still about a 1.2k lead for the side of C9. They did get that 1 kill plus assist money so far. They've also got, I mean, only a single plate, so it's not like that's even adding up to a whole lot of it.
Yeah, it's not a massive advantage by any means. And EG going to try to look to take the second dragon here. If Cloud9 were able to get back-to-back dragons, that is a little bit more of a threat.
Right.
If it is just a trade of one apiece, even Soul is so far off here. So not really that much of a concern. So one dragon on both sides. It will be Infernal, which is going to be one that I think really you're going to want to play for on both sides. But in particular for EG, when you're playing these poke-style comps, it is so strong. They do have the Herald. They're dropping this down mid and looking to try to fully crack this mid lane turret. Not going to be able to kill it with the charge, but we'll see if they want to stick around and really try to push it down. Doesn't look like they do.
Yeah, Cloud9 sending some backup here just to reinforce this one. Make sure that EG is not able to strong-arm that turret down. Of course, when you do get the charge and it does not fully execute the turret, you invoke the greatest amount of possible resistances from smashing all those plates. So each individual auto attack's only hitting this thing for 30 damage now, so it would take a while. Cloud9's able to reinforce that pretty effortlessly. But the gold lead, once again, back down to about 600 or 700 now. C9 and EG, both sides playing pretty safely here, exactly as you predicted, getting into this durability patch, getting into this age of League of Legends where things are more sturdy. Nobody's doing YOLO plays early on because there's no reason for it.
Yeah, and it's just harder to pull them off, right? When people are tankier, it's harder for your ganks to work. There's more of a cost if you go and you try to gank someone, it doesn't work out. The enemy jungler is just getting ahead of you on camps. Blaber, kind of first major purchase, it feels like, of this game. He does have the Blade of Rune King completed. He got the first blood, so getting that early on here going to be really nice for him. We'll see if he wants to try to get a bit more aggressive now that he has this item completed. But Danny just shoving in that bottom lane, and again, Destiny has been able to keep this very, very close. The farm, very close to even here. About one wave in the advantage. Impact could be in a bit of trouble here.
Well, he'll step forward, just using the W. As long as he's got that Arctic charge ready to go, I think he'll be okay. Blaber's not looking to do any crazy dives here thus far. That is the thing. When you have the Fiora and the Viego together, neither one of them exceptionally tanky, and those early game turrets hurt like crazy. Once those things warm up, you're looking at taking 400 damage from a turret shot. The dives are difficult.
Yeah, it is definitely a lot more difficult. Of course, they did get dialed back a bit on 12-11, so not nearly as dangerous as they were on 12-10, but still stronger than they were in the past, so it is going to be risky. And Impact is one of the best, if not the best top laner in the league at kind of neutralizing these lanes, right? This is a guy who has made a career out of playing weak side very, very frequently. He's always able to kind of give up the minimum in these matchups, keeping quite even himself. Of course, on the other side, Fudge now has his Gore Drinker completed. So will be a little bit of a boon for himself there. But for now, it just feels like both teams are content to farm it out. And I think we're going to see them playing heavily towards objectives. So it's going to be a lot about the setup for this next dragon here. That'll be in about 2.5.
And if we're talking objectives, if we're talking setups, Corki is in the game. Package timers matter a ton for these things. Having to play around a Drake fight or a Baron setup when Corki essentially has just this summoner spell / ultimate tier ability makes things a lot more difficult. That's one thing that I'm going to be looking here, not just for how well can JoJo pilot it, how well can Cloud9 play around it, force bad uses of those packages, and make it so that's not just going to guarantee that EG can take these things when they want them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you're not actually pressuring them to fight constantly, but we're seeing Blaber coming in the brush.
Oh, JoJo taking a lot of damage here, but he gets away with 1/4 of his health remaining. Does not use the flash, has the confidence to know he can still get away, but I like the attempt that C9 made going after him there, as now with the enemy mid laner back, Blaber is going to be going after the Rift Herald. But Fudge gets away top as Inspired looks to make a move.
Yeah, the riposte really well timed there from Fudge. Not much chance of a follow-up after that does happen. And Cloud9 just on Herald here. We'll see if EG want to fight, though, because there's no Senna ult, there's no Viktor ult. They spent both of those on JoJo.
The eyeball's open, so this is going to be taken one way or the other here. Blaber does stick around. He'll pick up the eyeball. I like the fact that EG tried to do something about it when they saw that there was a potential steal opportunity, but there was just too many factors that they did not know. How many people from Cloud9 are around? How risky is this going to be? EG does not want to throw away this 15 minutes of gameplay so far on some sort of a wild Baron toss. So instead, they're just going to let that Rift Herald go. Item completed popping up. As you can see, the Umbral Glaive finished there for Senna. An incredibly powerful item. Low overall price point. Makes it easy for these lower economy champions like a fasting Senna to buy that, as well as just the passive on it being so strong for vision control.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vision control is going to be really big in a game like this. Having the proper dragon setups, being able to control those spaces is such a big deal, especially when you don't have any hard engage. It's something you touched on in draft. You really have got to dominate vision, because walking into Ezreal and Corki and all these champions blind, you're just going to take so much poke that it's really unlikely to work out. So we'll see if they're going to be able to control vision here and where they're going to drop this Herald. Of course, second Herald not as valuable. And no tower is low enough to just straight up execute or anything here for Cloud9, but they might just drop it alongside this dragon spawn to really just try to start it up. And it seems like EG is kind of fishing around, but I don't think they're actually going to look to contest this. jojopyun's not actually moving from mid. You can see Inspire just getting ready for the Gromp, so it will be a second dragon here going the way of Cloud9. EG content to scale.
Alrighty, second Drake for C9, 2 more to go, and then you'll have that soul. But hey, 5 more minutes before that conversation is going to be relevant again. The gold lead, however, it just does not change. 10 minutes straight now. Usually I feel like, Isaac, when we're watching these games, if one side has a 600 gold lead, okay, maybe 10 minutes later it'll be 1,600 or something, right? Or maybe it'll shrink back down to 0. It's just not moving.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's just been kind of trading farm, both sides pushing it in, trying to control vision, trying to actually look for these opportunities. But both junglers have done a pretty good job of actually tracking where the enemy jungler is going to be. So there hasn't been a tremendous amount of actual windows to look for these sorts of plays, to look for these aggressive ganks. EG finally will knock down this tower here. First tower of the game, 1740 in. Going to be able to knock that down. Solo gold will go to JoJo. So he's expanded out about a 1K lead just for himself. So a pretty significant advantage there. Most of the gold lead really is on Blaber, who has farmed about 5 additional camps and has the first blood. So going to be some pressure on the Viego to really make things happen, I think, in these fights.
Plus, for the side of EG, I like getting the extra early money on Corki specifically, just because his early build path is a little wonky, because you're not as fast to your Mythic as other champions are. Yes, you're able to get the Manamune, but the problem with that thing is it kind of sucks until it turns into Muramana. So you're like, okay, I've got half of a book and kind of this dinky sword I don't really know what to do with. So getting him to the point where he's got some real items and that Corki really starts to hurt, become the poke machine we know he can be, that's important.
Absolutely, and I think EG's plan, my assumption is that the tiers will be fully stacked for this next dragon here, which would be the third dragon for C9. We already see the second item coming in here for Danny. JoJo should have his Ludens complete before that next dragon spawns. So I think that is where we're going to see the first major confrontation of the game, where EG will look to really try to get a bit more aggressive here. And it's going to be on Fudge to either really get a lot on the other side of the map to kind of make up for that, or to play out these teamfights very, very well. I mean, Fiora can teamfight, but you've got to be perfect with your post, because if that is mistimed, you are so squishy.
Oh,
you will
dead.
get burst down. You have got to be perfect with that when you're playing to teamfight on this champion.
You either hit the riposte or you hit the thumbs up emoji after you're dead, because that's all that's going to happen once that gets missed. That ability is critical. And now we've got that Rift Herald, that second Herald of the game summoned up here in the bottom lane. Should be able to grab this tier 1 turret. No issue whatsoever. Evil Genius is coming down trying to get something after the fact, but they're not going to get anything here just yet. Cloud9 looking for the possibility of a re-engage, but not anymore. jojopyun's bringing the rockets, and now Cloud9 is on the run. Impact ready to find something here, but instead they're going to turn around and find a little bit of damage back onto him. Jensen walking away. The rest of C9 back to safety. Danny's artillery not going to kill anybody off, but EG respond well enough to take a turret for a turret. Both tier 1s down in the bottom lane now.
jojopyun is just roasting him on this Corki. So much poke, landing on the stacked up C9 team there. Really getting punished hard. And Fudge deciding to join, but C9 not able to find any sort of a fight. Might have been the better option just to actually commit to the push on the top side, but clearly the call was to fight here. So Fudge does TP in. They don't get anything cross-map. And EG getting a nice little advantage for themselves, take out their tower. The 2 items complete now on Jojo as well as Danny. You can see FTX total gold 1,200 ahead of the rest of the field. There is jojopyun. Going to be really, really strong coming into this next dragon fight. And so we're going to have to see if EG can get the setup around there. And if Cloud9's even going to look to fight, or if they're just going to try to cross-map it.
And that's what I was talking about with having the gold on this guy specifically. Ludens plus Muramana is an entirely different beast. That's why those Rockets did what they did compared to if that was Lost Chapter plus Manamune. It's just not even comparable. So Jojo is the guy to keep your eye on here. If you had to pick one of these 10 players on the Rift to watch, I would say it's him for this next dragon fight.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's really, really hard if C9 are not first to an objective for them to actually engage at all into EG.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do, you don't even have to pillar in the front line. You just pillar out the back line. If Blaber and Fudge go forward, if Destiny goes forward, all Inspired has to do is throw a pillar onto Jensen or King. That's going to slow them down so much that's very difficult for them to close the gap. And then EG can kind of just kite back and hit front line, which makes it really, really hard for Cloud9's comp to kind of function here if they're not creating significant advantages through sides. But it does feel like they want to fight for this dragon. Fudge has grouped up here. They're clearly looking to get ready for it. And jojopyun is going back to base, does have his teleport available. We'll see if he actually has package here.
All right, both junglers taking a couple of hits back and forth. Fudge and Impact trading a little bit. Jojo has that package, like you're saying, ready to bring it back towards this location, which Cloud9 has already turned into the start of a Drake. They're looking to burn it down, but it's stolen by Inspired. LEC MVP and NA champ for a reason. Destiny wants to get away, but Jojo's got a delivery to make. Cloud9 continue the retreat as EG can't find the chase just yet. More rockets collide as Blaber and Jensen want to get away. King's ulti fires off. Inspired's going in, but Destiny's getting Blaber right back out. Evil geniuses get no kills, but the beautiful steal from Inspired gets them the play.
That steal was huge. It was full-on retreat for C9 after that, as EG again are just hammering them with this poke. Cloud9, no option but to run, but EG still not able to pick up a kill. So tanky on that back end. Destiny saving multiple members.
Look at this.
Jensen versus the world. Actually, it's both mid laners.
Both of those scoreboards are just one big bar in the middle, flipping the bird to everybody else on the team, having a great time. The mid laners doing the heaviest of lifting here in these mid-game skirmishes. Let's take another look how it went down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about Cloud9 trying to rush this. You can see on the minimap, Jojo was actually heading down, but he was a little bit late, didn't want to actually commit the teleport. So in they go. Q plus Smite there from Inspired. Nicely timed from 1,025 health there, actually. Finishes it off. Now Fudge on the side lane, gonna look for the all-in potentially here. On to Impact.
Impact just hits
Got a little bit excited.
Cinnamon roll and says, get on out of here. I am just trying to farm. Impact with that Frostfire Gauntlet, the Bramble Vest, Warden's Mail in the inventory. Is full tank Sejuani.
Yeah, it is.
As it always is.
I got excited because we jumped on that replay. I was like, oh, all in?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Farm.
This is Sejuani, sir. It's time to hit the minions and leave.
That's true, yes.
Well, we do have Baron live on the table now. We have both teams sitting at 2 Drakes, so still as far from Soul as we could possibly be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Anathema is picked up here by Inspired. I actually really like that, especially when you see the damage breakdown from the last fight.
Yeah,
you already know that's going on Jensen.
Slap that thing on Viktor, and everything else is fine. All right, Isaac, we had 1 kill 15 minutes ago.
We did.
And we got 1 kill now. Where are we going to get more kills at? What's the sauce here?
Next dragon. We're just looking at objectives. Let's be honest, man.
Okay.
That's what the meta is. It's fighting around these objectives here. And we'll see. You know, I think we would have had a scrappier fight if Jojo actually wanted to TP in, but he thought he could get back with his package in time, so it was a little bit late. And it just ended up being the situation where, you know, Cloud9 did not want to commit. EG doesn't have engage, so all they can do is really kind of just run you down, try to slow you down, and poke you out. But I am getting more worried for Cloud9 because they have not been able to create any sort of a real advantage in the side lane. Like, there is a farm advantage, don't get me wrong, but he's not been pressuring towers. Like, Fudge has not been able to actually pressure towers, has not been able to threaten any sort of solo kills, like has not been able to really create a massive advantage. And I just don't think Cloud9's comp functions super well if you're not playing with a dominant side lane. Like, if multiple people don't have to go to try to answer Fudge, it's going to be tough.
Inspired face checks to brush the troll. King barely gets away. And it's JoJo grabbing a kill on Blaber instead. Jensen picks one back up onto Inspired, makes it a 1-for-1. Both junglers down.
What even was it that killed him? Was that like corrupting potion burn or something?
I'm not 100% sure. We would have to go back and look at the replay.
That was way delayed, so I don't think it could have been airy. I think it was a corrupting potion burn there, but EG pushing in now.
EG are not done yet. Destiny has the focus on him, but it's Impact who's going to be killed instead. Nicely done from C9 as King barely gets away. Destiny's still very low. Fudge is ready to go. Fiora into the back as Danny goes forward, trying to kill the Destiny. Fudge is able to find the first. Danny's going to be taken down by King, and Fudge is eating good. 6-2, Cloud9.
Fudge TP's in, Cloud9 clean up EG. The carries survive here. Blaber fell early on. Destiny fell as well, but the Soul Laners reigning supreme here. Inspired is back out on the map. He has no flash, though. That flash is still on cooldown. I don't think there's any way he can actually get into the pit here. This is going to be Cloud9's Baron. They win the fight. They get the Baron. We'll see if they can actually get over to the Dragon as well here, because that is in only 25 seconds. And that's going to be the next target on the map.
Well, Baron secured is huge. This is a massive swing in momentum towards Cloud9 in a game that was just so stagnant. C9 make a huge move in this Roccat flip the switch replay.
Yep, absolutely. They look for the brush camp here. Let's try to find out exactly what it was that finished Inspired off, because Inspired pops the ulti, gets away, so there's red smite on him. Is it the last thing of the ult? Oh, he stepped back into the ult. He actually lost track of that. He's going to die to the ulti. Plus
it's the same color as the river.
Is the corrupting potion. The corrupting potion kills him off. And then going in on Destiny, EG thought they could kill him way faster. Then they realized, oh crap, Kench is not dying. Kill off the tower, but the tower had already done a lot to actually make that a very even fight. Then Fudge TP's in, flashes straight onto jojopyun with the ulti popped on him to get the move speed. Cleans up Vulcan along the way.
We're not done. We're back to live. Evil Geniuses picked up the 3rd Drake of the game for themselves. 5th Drake overall, so at least they got something back off the back of that play topside that went so far in the favor of C9. Fudge setting up shop here in top lane. This is the split push Fiora we've been wanting to see.
Yeah.
Baron empowered, getting the damage onto the turrets, but he's got to be careful. The rest of the squad isn't applying a ton of pressure in mid. It's easy for EG to send somebody else up top. Fudge, however, backing away and now re-engaging to find some more damage onto Impact, but C9 now has an opportunity to push up mid. This mid lane tier 1 turret stood for 28 minutes, but no longer. C9 picking up their 4th turret of the game.
Early game was a slow burn, but it's really picking up now. As these teams have their items, they're ready to go. Death cap is almost complete for Jensen. That is going to be a massive spike for him. JoJo's already on 3 items. Danny's on 3 items. EG looking to contest here.
Okay, well, the red buff is going to be secured by Danny. Nicely done on that one, making the Ezreal poke more powerful. Impact will try to weather the storm as long as he can against Fudge's Fiora, but with Ravenous Hydra, with Gore Drinker, Fudge is never going to take meaningful damage from Impact alone, so EG needs to send the Goon Squad, and the whole squad shows up. Unfortunately, the shutdown goes over to Vulcan, but at least they got him.
Yeah, it's never a fair fight up in the top lane. The squad comes in, they take him down. I'm really interested to see where Impact is going to go with his build next, because I think, you know, if you're expecting to just be locked in a side lane, you actually go Warmogs from here and then just AFK your tower. As the minion wave comes up, you step up, you use your health to clear out the wave, and you defend the tower. But he is not going for that. He is going in towards MR, so very clearly looking towards the 5v5, thinking about Jensen.
Looking at Jensen, exactly. 3-0-2 Viktor.
And I mean, this guy has Death Gap, he has the Void Staff, he is massively strong, and he is going to be the true threat in the 5v5. Because Fudge is not going to be targeting the Sejuani. So Impact's read on the game is, I will not spend the game inside, I will group, I will fight, and that is why he's going towards the MR now. You can see some stopwatches being picked up here. Fudge grabbed his, Inspired grabbed his. These items going to start to become very important in these late game fights. You know, EG is on Soul Point, Cloud9 has a pretty significant advantage, but if you do not have the setup for this next dragon, if that soul goes the other way, it is going to be tough because EG already has an incredible amount of poke. You add the Infernal Soul on top, it's going to get really difficult to deal with.
I really like the Kimtech Putrefier picked up by Vulcan here because all 3 of the items of Fudge are lifesteal / regeneration type of items. That's
really hard to deal with without some Grievous Wounds. Of course, you know, in the durability patch, Grievous Wounds has been toned down compared to what it previously was. But when you're dealing with the front line of the enemy team, with the Fiora, with the Viego, having so much sustain, having that heal cut, I think, is just critical, especially when Senna's right behind.
Yeah, Senna healing. There's also Redemption on TK, so there are a lot of sources of healing. And Karma is also one of the actual best users of this item because you can AoE apply it. Yeah.
Yep.
With the ulti shield, the monster shield there, it is really, really effective. Cloud9, they're the ones with push through mid though, and they're the ones kind of dominating Vision so far. They're trying to move up into this area, clear out Vision. You can see EG's got nothing in this whole section of the map. They've got a couple deep wards down in this little bottom area, but that's about it. So it is very, very difficult right now for them to check in. We're going to have to see when they can actually reset, group up, and try to push in and get some vision. This is one of the weak parts of playing an Enchanter support, and something that a lot of pros will tell you as a reason that they don't love playing things like the Karma is you cannot face check. You cannot walk in here. You can try to clear brushes with your Q, but really you need Inspired or Impact to be there with you to try to be that person in front of you, walking forward, clearing out vision, because EG really, you have to expect, want to play for this soul.
I mean, the one big fight that happened in this game started with Inspired face-checking a brush, and we saw how he barely got away. Karma dies in the snap of your finger. Her death recap is going to be 0.something seconds, and I'm thinking the point-something's a 5 or less.
Yeah.
So it's very understandable why Vulcan can't do that. But again, it's Fudge. It's this 3 completed massive items Fiora split pushing in the top lane, and it's only going to get worse.
Oh, package is done. JoJo's heading out towards top, but of course it plays the global sound. So Fudge going to respect that. He's just running straight back all the way. He's not messing around with that. He knows if he gets picked now before that soul fight, that could be game-changing. But still, JoJo out here with package. You've got to respect it. There is no vision, though, for EG in the area, so they still have got to have someone face check. They're going to try to walk in with the poke here, clear this out, but Jensen
gets himself to safety thanks to Destiny's ulti, but Tahm Kench ult being down, that's going to be big. Fudge teleporting into the fight, ready to go. EG with control over the top side of the river. Cloud9 falling back towards the enemy blue buff. Fudge steals away the blue. Dragon is started up. Evil Geniuses have the aggro on the Drake right now. They're going to look to turn towards this immediately. JoJo zoning them all away. Uses package backwards towards the Drake. Impact zoning out Fudge. Drake's going to be taken low. It's stolen away by King, but he immediately dies thereafter. Destiny falls next to him as Impact's going to be traded away on the other side. Blaber beat to death with the Trundle Club as Fudge tries to get away, but Danny is here to party, and the Evil Geniuses are in trouble. Wait! Fudge wants to turn it around, and Fudge is finding his marks.
JoJo was TPing up because he thought it was a done deal, and Fudge just turns the game on its head. They were looking for a potential end angle there. JoJo's like, all right, he's dead. It's a 4v1. I'm TPing mid. I'm going to start pushing. We go Baron, or we go to try to at least get an inhib or something. And Fudge just crushes the back end of this fight. The beginning looking really good as Cloud9 are kind of getting pushed down into this area where they're grouped up. They're getting poked out here. And you can see the ulti from Danny coming across. Jensen is going to get pillared in here. Let's watch this final little hit here. Smite, I didn't even see it. That went straight from 1430 to dead. So I think that was like an auto or a Q pass through or something from King. But either way, the chase down begins from EG. They are focused on the fight. The flash pillar onto Jensen was really nice. Now let's watch Fudge. He is so low. It's understandable you think he's dead, but he has Goredrinker available. Flash into the middle of 4. Goredrinker heals him for 1k. Procs all the vitals there. Takes down Danny. And look at this. He was TPing. He thought he was dead. He thought it was a done deal. Understandably, Fudge is at what, 5% health in a stopwatch. Goredrinker heals him for over 1k. So whether it was a mispress there from JoJo or what I think it was just, he thought that his teammates had him.
4,458 damage in the team fight.
That's more than 52.
Fiora. That's significantly larger than 52. That is correct. That is why you are the analyst, sir. Impact, unfortunately, getting about
top gap
2 ticks of a Frostfire Gauntlet on somebody somewhere.
No, that's actually Sejuani's full combo. 52.
Oh, Sejuani. Anyway, we've got ourselves 3 Drakes to 3. We have to get a Dragon Soul in the next one.
We do.
It must be the soul. But
maybe you should be the analyst. That's a good point.
Yeah, I know. I got you here. You know, 3 + 3. One of them's eventually got to be a 4. But now we've got Evil Geniuses with control over the map. Cloud9 looking to get that Fiora back in the side lane. Again, that's the win condition. We've already talked about how hard it is for them to try to engage on EG.
No TP on Fudge.
EG starting up the Baron. But now backing away, seeing that Cloud9 is ready to respond to this. Fudge back up in the top lane. Inspired moving forward, but he's got to be careful. King does a lot of damage. Jojo firing off some rockets here. Blaber taking those in the back as they all continue to disengage here, getting healed up by the Redemption.
Huge.
Fudge coming in from the side. Jojo, wow-wee, look at the poke on that one, as Evil Genius is now going to get jumped on. Impact and Vulcan backing away. Fudge trying to charge into the melee here as a lot of damage comes down, looking for the riposte. Fudge loses Guardian Angel. Can they protect him as he comes back alive?
Destiny's got all
more poke coming out. Destiny saves him there with a Devour, but now Fudge is very low. He's got no Guardian Angel. Blaber also at death's door. Evil Genius is heading back over to the Baron pit, but they're setting a trap instead. True Shot Barrage right to the goalpost, not going to get much. Evil Genius is still with control. TP coming right back in. They're bringing back Impact. He's ready to tank. And what can C9 do about it?
I mean, Blaber's got to heal up. He just uses Smite over there on Wolves to try to get a little bit of health, but now he doesn't have Smite for the Baron. He was down to about 5% health. King has been sustaining them up as much as he possibly can, but AG can try to finish.
King loses 2/3 HP to a Jojo rocket. Baron's going to be secured by Inspired as Jojo goes over the wall back to the safety of his team, flashing away from Fudge. Destiny dies, and Fudge is now in a bad spot. Destiny will continue to try to save these guys, but when he's dead, what's the other way out? What's the way for them to survive? There's none, and C9 retreats having lost their support.
Yeah, C9 has so much sustain with this Senna, but every single time King is getting tagged by a bit of poke there from Jojo, it is deadly. The Senna is so squishy at this point in the game. Yeah, one rocket, one big one, it's like 80% of his health. It's not looking that durable.
No,
so.
it's not the what is it? The Senna gameplay fantasy is not losing 80% HP to a rocket and wanting to go home.
The Senna gameplay fantasy is having so many soul stacks so you don't have to be on the same screen as your opponent.
Yeah, you just shoot the Nexus at your Nexus. Now we've got Evil Geniuses 20 seconds before the Soul Drake spawns. For either side, they're the ones with Baron. They're the ones with control. They're the ones that Cloud9 are going to have to find an angle. But it's Impact leading the charge here. With that Sejuani, he's ready to go. Remember, Fudge has no Guardian Angel this time. So again, the Fiora timing, the riposte must be perfect. Dragon ready to spawn now. There is a blue trinket in the pit from the side of C9, but it's EG with total control over the river. Package from Jojo. This is what we're talking about. He's always ready to go with these. Just firing off those rockets. Try to wear Cloud9 down. Use the Ezreal. Use that Corki. True Shot Barrage hits, but it doesn't do a whole lot just yet. Impact gonna take a couple of hits there at the front. Inspired starting up the Drake. Impact at about 3/4. Inspired the same. Rocket finds King. Big one finds King. King at about 10% HP. Evil Genius is playing it slow, playing it safe. They're trying not to flip this if they can help it. Jojo's gonna eat the tongue there from Destiny, but now EG backing off yet again. C9 trying to move forward. Fudge looking to come in from the side, now stealing away the blue, but I don't think that's gonna be the move. Blaber's there in the stasis. The Dragon's gonna go over to the side of EG, but Fudge goes into the back line and he finds the kill on Jojo. Fudge staying alive. EG in retreat. Destiny's taken low, and True Shot Barrage finds the kill on the King. With Fudge and King both out of it. They're still ready to fire back on the side of EG. Danny's locked and loaded, and Destiny's here right in his firing line. The crosshairs find the mark, and Danny's on a killing spree. Jensen retreats over the wall with a blast cone, and Cloud9 are behind enemy lines. EG just keeping him there, just wasting the time. Blaber jumps out, finds a little bit of a trade onto Inspired.
They want to fight?
He and Vulcan are not really set to win this 2v2, but they're trying to just waste some time, if nothing else. Inspired hobbling away from this one. Trundle is fast.
Impact's
with a
coming.
TP coming in, he's going to have a little bit of backup. Danny also here. Impact just trying to keep these guys still. Jensen eats a lot of damage, but he ain't going to be killed just yet. Danny will swoop in. However, Impact hits that Blaber and he still dies. Evil Geniuses finally get them all.
Damn, that was like a 5-minute fight go off hours. Jensen was going crazy with the fancy feet there at the end. But at the end of the day, it is EG walking away with the Infernal Soul here. Such a scrappy fight. I have got to say, Fudge is really impressing me on the Fiora with what he is getting done. Look at that damage on King. He's just getting pushed out. But it is Fudge. Eventually, he realizes, we don't win this. I've got to find an angle. So he goes around, he actually heals up off the Gromp, and then he's looking for this angle into the backline. At the same time, they're going to move forward onto jojopyun. jojopyun will be pushed back right into the waiting arms of Fudge. Fudge into the backline there, finishes off Jojo. Gets the riposte stun onto Danny. If Danny did not have, I think that was a Mikhail's from Vulcan. If that was not there, Danny could have died as well. And that would have been potentially a game-winning play. Excuse me, that was actually a QSS from Danny, not the Mikhail's. But still, like, that was really well played by Fudge and almost got enough done to kill both the carries, which could have been game-changing.
But despite Fudge's performance in that fight, the soul goes the way of evil geniuses. And the graph that you can see on your screen right now says this is the first time this game that the gold advantage has found itself in favor of EG. Now, the counterpoint to that is we have teams that have a collective gold value of about 70K each, so those small advantages aren't meaning a whole lot at this point in time. Lots of players getting close to full build. You can see Jojo, richest man on the Rift, currently sitting at that nice, juicy 6 items. These rockets are really what is making these fights work out, as he's able to poke down King specifically. The Senna not being in any sort of shape to participate beyond just an ulti is doing a lot for them in the fights. But Fudge, man, this is the guy for C9 keeping this game going. I'm not just going to act like it's a one-man show, though, when we're looking at Jensen here, 6-2-3 on the Viktor, having an awesome first game back.
Yeah, and you look at his performance in these team fights, he has been so good at actually sidestepping the skill shots. That is classic Jensen. Like, I think he has some of the best movement of anyone we've had in this league for many, many years. He is really good at these little tiny side steps to dodge out on skill shots. And let's be honest, King has not done a great job at actually avoiding a lot of this poke, right? He has got to position himself with Destiny in between him, and Jojo, because he is taking so many rockets. I know he wants to get a little bit of damage out himself, but it's just not a winning trade on his end. Until he potentially gets even more souls. I mean, he's at 146.
That's so
a pretty ridiculous amount. I mean, we're 42 minutes in, right? So he is going to have a lot. You do get free AD from each one of those souls. So Senna is definitely scaling, but Corki hits you with one big one. Like, none of that matters. And that is why you've got to play really, really carefully here as King.
Senna might be scaling. Corki already scaled 5 minutes ago. Corki was full build. This is not the kind of Corki that you can fiddle around with and tank some damage from King.
Just gonna rush this.
Getting hit by that true shot barrage means one big one kills him.
Blaber has no flash, but he could ult into the pit. Is he gonna go for it? Nope.
Nope, Blaber backing away. Realizes that at this point in time it could be rough. Fudge pushing the bottom lane up here, poised to take the tier 3 turret, but Impact will hold on long enough to make it so EG does not have to trade an objective here. They will get the Baron. They've got it again, but what can they do with it?
Yeah, we'll have to see what they can get done here on the push. It's going to make the job a lot harder for Fudge. Fudge is honestly just struggling with mana. Like, he is constantly going, guy kind of needs some blue buffs or something. Like, he's not going, Essence Reaver, he's not going the tier kind of scaling build. So in these long drawn out fights where Impact is just so difficult for him to actually push down, he's just straight up running out of mana in these 1v1s. He is full build now, completing it, has the GA, that is back off cooldown, grabs the Spirit Visage here. So they're gonna be able to shrug off all the damage there from Impact, but the question is, can he get enough done to really push him out?
Well, man, this turret is just evaporating here in front of the inhibitor for Cloud9 in mid lane. That tier 3 is gone. That's the first tier 3 taken in the game, 43 minutes in, Isaac.
Yeah, and 6 items now for Jensen. He's got the Lich Bane, so with Lich Bane, there is the possibility of, if you can hit the combo, flashing on one of these carries and just one-tapping them. It does so much damage, with that Q auto with the Lich Bane. If you can hit your ER, Q auto on a carry, they can die. But Jensen is squishy himself, so he's got to really watch out because he has most of their wave clear. He's most of their team by damage. 2 rockets just hit him in a row there.
Oh! Jensen's gone! The rocket from downtown. Jojo backing up the trash talk on Twitter, and he might have just won the game with it.
I think he has, man. They're pushing in here. What can you do without the Viktor? It's going to have to be a hero play from Fudge for them to have any chance at all.
All right, let's see it. EG still strong as 5. Fudge going forward. Grand challenge down onto the jungler, but now having to back away. Goes for the riposte. Saved by Destiny. King down to 1%. Blaber going to be isolated. Going to be blown up. He'll come back here with the Guardian Angel, but what hope does he have? Nexus turrets are collapsing. Fudge into the GA proc now. Blaber bouncing back and forth trying to stay alive as Destiny's the first to die. Fudge and Blaber right back into the Fountain King. Dives to the bullet in the air as Cloud9's stance ends here. They have fought valiantly, but Evil continues its reign. The stats are going to be padded. And Evil Geniuses, it took 45 minutes. Impressive performances out of different players on C9, but it was not enough. JoJo's rocket finds Cloud9's heart.
Oh man, the Corki was huge for EG. Incredible game from jojopyun. Cloud9 really getting punished for being so low on engage. It allowed these EG carries to play so confidently, so far forward in a lot of these fights. And those rockets were punishing Cloud9.
It's one of those things where we talked about how good of a game Jensen was having, how critical this Viktor has been. But unfortunately, the reality of a game like League of Legends is that when you are the cornerstone of your team's success, any misstep is that much more punishing, that much more damning. And JoJo found the one opening he needed the whole game to dial those rockets in on Jensen, and that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, that was kind of the Baron buff there at work for EG, because Jensen's the only one who can clear that wave at all on Cloud9. Viego cannot do it. Senna cannot clear out a Baron up wave. So it's 100% on Jensen to actually do that wave clear. But as he steps forward to actually try to poke down that wave, clear out that wave, well, it's easy pickings for JoJo, who had him lined up, got him dead to rights, not able to actually block that out, not able to, save him with a Tahm Kench or flash rocket or anything like that. Does end up getting punished, but we also have to remember Cloud9 playing without their intended bot lane.
Right.
And still a very close, very competitive game. And I've got to say, even in the loss, Fudge impressed me. I was curious to see, how quickly he would actually get back towards top lane and kind of really look like a strong, dominant top laner. His team fighting on the Fiora, it was nice.
I liked what we got to see here in game number 1, but now it's time to join the reigning champ, jojopyun himself, on stage with LeTigress for a Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. Coming to us straight from the mid lane, we've got jojopyun. We heard a bit about how you felt with this matchup against Jensen on Twitter, but can you tell us rather your deep feelings? Because this story goes back to the beginning of the season when there was talk about you both.
Yeah, I mean, I heard EG wanted Jensen, so I was kind of like, I'm way better than this guy because I versed this guy in solo queue a lot. So I was like, wait, this is who you want to pick up. So, I mean, it's fun to verse him again. But it is his first game back, so I'll cut him some slack. He played pretty well. Until he died, but until then, I mean, he played pretty well, yeah.
It took a long time for some people to die because the games do feel a bit differently coming through. What is that like, having to read these situations and when you are able to secure the kills or not?
I mean, I don't know. The game became so much more slow-paced after the change, but I mean, I think we just picked scaling champs. We outscaled them, so that was kind of our plan. I don't really like the change too much myself, but we're adapting right now, so yeah.
We still ended up seeing the Viktor versus Corki. Are we more of the same coming up or anything under your sleeve with the changes, regardless if you like them or not?
More coming up? What do you mean?
Yeah, different picks, because we're seeing the same matchup that we saw in spring. So I'm wondering how much you think things are going to change in the mid lane.
I mean, I don't think it'll change at all. I think it'll just be control mages mostly for now until they change something. But yeah, until then, it'll be probably the same matchups.
You've always had a lot of confidence throughout the entirety of this year, and now coming off of the championship, do you feel any additional pressure into the summer split compared to when you started the season?
I mean, not really. I think we're a really good team, and I'm really confident in my team. So I think we're much better too, and I don't know. I don't think there's really any pressure. I think if we just play how we did, we'll be fine.
Confidence is strong. Great to hear from you, JoJo. Welcome back to the LCS Arena. For everybody watching at home, we are celebrating Pride all month across all games, so check out all the goodies that you can get for yourself.
All right. Let me know if those are good if you want.
Upgrade your shimmery slippers to keep sparkling.
Hey, Ash, what's your plan?
A new and very serious game, Jake from State Farm, but these in-game purchases are wrecking my wallet. I can't keep sparkling, Jake. I need a sparkle.
State Farm has options like combining home and auto, so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Very nice. The gameplay is really strategic, I swear.
For surprisingly great rates to fit any budget.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
You better get out your chair. Haters even be like, yeah. My crew everywhere like we in the atmosphere. Make it yell, woo, like Flair, we the champ. Never crush it on the regular. Serve your whole squad like Federer. Top of the podium like I won the gold medal, bro. I'ma take a time bomb, I'm about to set it up. Now what you hear, ain't no test. This is real as real can get. And you know my deal, I ain't one to mess. So let me get this off my chest. Now I wanna go and act real crazy like there's nothing to lose. So everybody make way, cause I know